Pie charts are not evil, but they're also not always the best choice. So when should we or should we not be using a pie chart? Hi, I'm Kate Norris from Presentation Boss. We help people tell stories with their data, and today we're talking pie charts. So pie charts are really great when we don't particularly care about the data that sits behind them, if we just want a really high level view of something. So let's grab an example here. I've got here the market share between iOS and Android. If we want to know kind of what percentage of the market each one has, this is a really great choice, this pie chart, because we can see that Android has about 75% of the market, maybe just under 75%. What we can understand from this is that Android has about 3/4. And if that's all the detail we want to know, beautiful, use this pie chart. But as soon as you want to add more categories or you want to understand the detail a little bit more, a pie chart might not be the best choice. I've got here the asset allocation of a portfolio, and we can start to see that it gets a little bit more complex here. If we want to understand that what's the difference between global equities and cash a lot, if that's all the detail that we want to know, beautiful, this pie chart is perfect. However, if we want to know a little bit more detail and really understand the makeup of this portfolio, which chances are we do, pie chart's not your best bet. And this is because the human eye is really not very good at estimating either the area of something or comparing the angle of something, which is in the middle of this pie chart. You're looking at the angles. And that's what a pie chart relies on. It relies on us looking at the area or looking at the angle and comparing it to another area or angle. So let's have a look at how bad our eyes actually are at doing this. I've got here some data, and if we want to understand that these 5 categories, A, B, C, D, E, are about equal, again, beautiful, pie chart all the way. But if we want to know more detail behind this, we need to have a different graph to understand that, and we can see that same data popped into a different graph, into a bar chart here, shows us that there's really a decent difference between A and E. How significant that is really up to whatever your data happens to be. And often the pushback that I get on this is, well, why don't you just label your pie graph? Well, I say, why don't you just put it in a table? If all you're looking at is the labels, use a table. Or you can show, using a better graph, what sits behind that data, behind that chart. So now let's look at comparing pie charts. So maybe this is month versus month, last month versus this month. And we can see here, just from what I can see, looking at this, is maybe E has increased a little bit, and that's about all. Maybe C is a little bit smaller. But again, looking at it in a different graph, let's put it in a bar graph again, we can see that there's been a fair bit of movement in all of those categories. And it's something that we can't understand just from that pie chart. So I guess the overarching message here is, like everything in data storytelling, we need to really think about what is the message that I am trying to communicate here, because that is what is going to drive what graph you use, what graph you select. And often this is a case of trial and error as well. Try a pie graph, but also try other graphs as well, and think about what is going to drive my message forward better. Now, if you'd like to upskill your team in data storytelling, I would love to hear from you. Flick me a message, get in contact with me, and I hope you have a great day, and I will see you soon.